China is celebrating its athletes' best performance at an overseas Olympic Games. Yet this summer also saw a significant crackdown on what the government describes as toxic celebrity culture.
针对涉体育领域饭圈违法犯罪行为。
In the wake of the Paris 2024, authorities condemned the behavior of aggressive fans who used social media to attack and spread rumors about the nation's Olympians. Police have taken action against individuals defaming athletes and coaches. In this episode of Deep Dive, Sideline Story host Fu Yu joins the program to explore the rise of China's sports fandom and how it eventually fueled harmful behaviors, and what we can do to cool it down. This episode is brought to you on Saturday, August the 24th. So the crackdown this time on the toxic fan culture came after the controversy that some table tennis fans made a scene at the Paris Olympics. But not everyone has watched the games. I haven't. So
Me either.
Yeah, I know. The videos have been circulating, especially from that table tennis match. So Fu Yu, can you first remind us why there's this crackdown on the fan culture, particularly in sports?
There were several occasions during Paris 2024 where fans from this toxic fan culture went too far. For example, the table tennis match that you just said, in an all-Chinese women's singles match, winner Chen Meng received boos and online verbal abuses from fans of compatriot Sun Yingsha, who Chen defeated in the gold medal match. It should have been a celebration because with these two finalists, China secured the gold and silver medals.
Right.
However, the fan behavior turned what could have been an outpouring of patriotism into a battleground between the fans of these two players. The online abuses even extended into the coaches and officials at the table tennis team. And another case at Paris 2024 is women's 10-meter platform gold medalist Quan Hongchan. She also won another gold medal with partner Chen Yuxi in women's synchronized 10-meter platform. After Paris, Quan couldn't even return home because her village was filled with visitors, live streamers, and some vendors even set up stalls on the street that Quan's grandfather lives on. So it brought many problems to her home village, such as traffic and sanitary issues. I'm sure there are people who really supported Quan and wanted to visit her hometown to take a look at the place that she grew up in. But in this case, most people were just there for their own gains, which I think makes it harassment rather than support.
Right. It's confusing that how these sports fans could go to these extreme actions.
I don't know why they do it because I don't know what they get from it.
Right. And you normally wouldn't connect fan culture with sports because in the past you normally think about singers, actors,
it's an
and
entertainment
actresses.
industry thing.
Yeah, these people from the art industry that they would normally get the hardcore fans, followers. And so is this the first time that sports fans are going extreme?
I'm not sure if this is the first time that they went to extremes, but previously there were some incidents where fan behavior also affected the athletes or other people. For example, at the Tokyo Olympics, athletes were verbally abused online because their performance didn't live up to expectations. And this wasn't restricted to Chinese athletes only. For example, at Tokyo 2020, there were a lot of criticism for Naomi Osaka, who lit the Olympic cauldron in Tokyo but suffered an early exit. Also, some online users threw racist remarks at Simone Biles. That was also in Tokyo 2020 after she withdrew from competitions. And in some instances, it extended into real life. For example, around the time of Tokyo 2020, fans swarmed an airport in Guangzhou to meet table tennis player Fan Zhendong. The crowd went so crazy that Fan and later had to release a statement asking them just to allow him to be an ordinary person. And during Paris 2024, with the case between the Chinese table tennis players, law enforcement had to step in. Recently, police arrested at least 4 people for bullying Chinese players and coaches online. And China's Table Tennis Association, also the Gymnastics Association, have both voiced support for the crackdown on such irrational actions.
So Rome wasn't built in one day, and the toxic fan culture in the sports community also grew over time.
I think there's a history.
Yeah. So what's the reason behind this growing extreme culture among the sports fans?
If we are to discuss this question, I think we have to look into the history of this fan circle, fan culture, or because in Chinese it's fan quan,
Right.
and quan is literally circle. This fan circle began in China in the 2000s from singing competitions. As the singers competed to win the show, their fans also battled for votes for their favorite singer. And it really crept into sports at the Rio Olympic Games in 2016. And that year, it was the first major international sporting event where people switched from their TV to mobile devices because of the fast-growing internet technology and social media. And one interesting fact is that a survey ahead of the Rio Olympics found that 70% of mobile users say they would watch the games on a smartphone or a tablet, compared with only 23% who would use their devices as a second screen experience. So when such a big sporting event comes with such easy access, it accelerated the rise of many athletes to stardom. And a lot of them even became better known for what they did outside competitions rather than during competitions. And in 2016, and I suppose still to this day, actually, the most impacted sport by this fan circle is table tennis. I guess part of the reason is because it's China's dominating sport.
Right.
And so players mostly face competition from their own compatriots. And for example, in men's singles at the Rio Games, Ma Long defeated fellow Chinese player Zhang Jike, and Zhang's fans subsequently went online to abuse Ma, which is crazy because they both made the nation proud. Just like the case between Chen Meng and Sun Yingsha, they
Exactly.
secured the gold and silver medals. And so here we're back to the beginning of this chat, how people from the toxic fan culture picked fights and made inappropriate remarks. I think no matter what the situation, the crazy fan behavior shouldn't be allowed. Because in sports, it's especially at the Olympic Games, sportsmanship is an important part of the competition. And even if you are defeated, I think for both fans and the athletes, gracefully accepting defeat is part of the game, and that's just as important as enjoying the victory. And most of the athletes realize that, and they do that really well, but unfortunately not all of their fans.
Right. Sportsmanship is part of the sports spirit.
Yeah, and why part of the reason why we love sports so much.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of the athletes, they will show this sportsmanship, but is it hard for their fans, especially the hardcore fans, to accept the failure of their idol?
I imagine it must be hard for some of them because talking about the origin of this fan circle, we earlier said that it stemmed from the entertainment industry,
Right.
from singing competitions, where they call their singers idols. And in sports, I think some of those irrational fans or crazy fans also idolize these athletes. They see them as a figure that's similar to those singers, performers from the entertainment industry.
Right.
And municipal official from Beijing says that social media has also made interactions between athletes and their fans more intimate. It allows athletes to share moments of their life and the public to access that information very easily. And also under the commercialization of sports, athletes are marketed as stars. Therefore, why some people idolize them and see them as entertainment figures. Some of them are overly exposed to the limelight. It's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, there's money that comes with more attention.
Right.
Some athletes get a lot more sponsorships and enjoy more worship. Like Zhang Jike said, before Rio, there were only a few dozen people watching him. And after that, it was like a concert. Those were his own words. And again, that just tells us about 2016 being the year that made the difference. And also, before it became so bad, there was a lack of regulations that prevented such things from happening.
Okay, but I have to say that China is not the only country that faces this toxic fan culture. I'm not so much of a sports fan, but even I have heard of the reputation of the hooligans among hardcore
English football fans.
I know, in particular, from UK and some other European countries. And how are these type of behavior treated internationally among the hardcore toxic fan culture?
Well, one thing the authorities are doing to protect the athletes is that at Paris 2024, the International Olympic Committee introduced a new AI-powered monitoring service to protect these people from online abuse. So this system will monitor thousands of accounts across social media in real time, and it'll flag threats to make sure abusive messages can be dealt with before they reach the athletes. So technology and the internet, again, while they allow online bullying to spread, they can also be used as weapons to protect sports.
Okay, so there are international examples to learn from. And this time, Chinese officials have launched a crackdown. So this time, the Chinese official is taking actions. And for you, can you walk us through what are the measures and the attempts to control this toxic culture among sports fans?
Firstly, on the official level, sports bodies and public security authorities have been voicing their opposition to the toxic fan circle behaviors. The Table Tennis Association was the first to make a statement after the incident involving the fans of Chen Meng and Sun Yingsha. Actually, in 2022, Table Tennis Association President Liu Guoliang also called for determination to fight against irrational fan behavior. But until the most recent arrests, I think those opposing voices were largely on the verbal level. So there still needs to be laws that draw a line between support and harassment or slander. And also those within the industry should explore a way to promote sports and commercialize the athletes in a healthy and sustainable manner, and make sure that they have a clean environment to focus their trainings and competitions. And here, one positive development is that athletes are joining this campaign against the vicious fan culture. For example, Chinese swimmer Pan Zhanle, we all love him. He won a gold medal in men's 100-meter freestyle, beating his own record. And also, together with his teammates, terminated a 40-year U.S. dominance in 4x100 meters medley relay. His social media saw an explosive growth with more than 1 million new followers after he captured those 2 gold medals. And naturally, the fan circle followed. There are people who idolize him, but the self-assured swimmer who represents a new generation of Chinese athletes disbanded his fan group to make his stance clear. And by doing that, Pan not only protected himself from the possible attacks, but also proved that athletes are also part of this campaign and that there are things they can do to protect themselves and also their fellow athletes.
Okay. And last, Fu Yu, as the host for a professional sports podcast program.
Thank you for calling us professional.
Yeah.
We're just a very targeted sports podcast.
Yeah, how would you appeal to the sports fans out there? Like, how should we interact with our sports idols?
I really like that question. In my opinion, fandom itself is fine as long as it stays within limits. And that's why we need regulations to draw a line. I discussed this with my co-hosts on Sideline Story, the sports podcast that you just mentioned. And here, a quick note to our listeners. If you're interested in hearing about the fan culture from a different angle, or if you'd like to listen to our conversations about all things sports, you're welcome to tune in to Sideline Story. We'll make sure to leave the link to that show in the description. Back to our conversation. So we were talking about staying within boundaries. I personally would draw that line where it begins to affect others. So if you keep it to yourself and keep it friendly with other supporters, it creates a really healthy fan circle. You get along with other people, and I'm sure the athletes will enjoy the support. But if you pick fights, spread false information, or even stalk the athletes, that's happened before. We're not just talking about hypotheses here.
I'm pretty sure.
If all those things happen, that's crossing the boundaries of both a sports fan and the law. So I hope the arrest this time will teach this group of people a lesson and really lead the start of a revolution in sports culture.
Okay, so the time that your actions start to affect other people's lives, that's where we should draw the line.
Yeah, personally, that's what I think. And if I were an internet police, I wouldn't hesitate to arrest or punish those people who cross the boundaries.
Thank you very much, Fu Yu.
Thank you. It's been a good chat. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. The entire nation is now reflecting on how to cool down the fever surrounding overzealous sports fans. It's clear this will be no easy task and that the road ahead is long. But one thing is certain. If you truly love sports, focus on the game itself, not the athletes. Respect their privacy, allow them the space to perform, and let the sport speak for itself. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Deep Dive. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow us on your podcast platform. Just search for Deep Dive. You can also leave a comment to let us know what you want to learn about China and beyond. This episode is brought to you by me, Li Yunqi, and my colleagues Zhang Zhang and Qi Zhi. Special thanks to Sideline Story host Fu Yu. I'll see you in the next one.